No, yeah,
So,
I feel like we definitely are all a family and we know we're going to work together no matter what. And for me, I hate drama. I hate like bad blood. I hate, the big elephant in the room. It's just not part of my personality because I'm here just to have a good time and go home. So when there is drama with me, it's really hard for me. So that's why I decided to step back and take a break because it's not the show that I signed up for anymore. But I feel like, yeah, when we do fight, we end up definitely making sure that we make up because we are a family at the end of the day. And, people do fight. It is what it is, especially when you're filming that show because, we're stuck in a house staring at each other for, 3 weeks. So, I mean, it's bound to happen. But I feel like overall, we just want to have a good time.
It's more than just your output, more than a bike. When you hear your shout out, you know it's all right. Put on your magic pants and let's go. We're cruising into the power zone. Clip in, set yourself free. Come on and take a ride with me. You know what you need to know and what's it all about. Everything you need, it's on the Clip Out.
Welcome to the Clip Out Podcast, episode 208. This is Crystal O'Keefe.
and this is Tom O'Keefe, 208.
Yep.
That's a new way to say it.
Haven't I been saying that?
Have you been
what
saying
have I
zero?
been saying?
Thought you've been saying like 206.
Oh, maybe I have been saying
It was the zero that threw me off.
It's hard to say.
It's very upper Midwestern. At least you're not saying like 208. Maybe that's how people in the UC say it.
I don't know, but I don't like that. I wouldn't remember to say the nil.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I would be like, wait, what am I supposed to say?
It'd be like when you move to Canada and you have to say A to Z.
Yeah.
I would never succeed. I would flunk out of kindergarten.
Oh, no.
Which I might have. That's our little secret. So, I guess exciting / dangerous news in our house this week as
yeah.
as my 16-year-old son, your stepson.
Yes.
I was clarifying for the listeners for why I was identifying him as my son, not your son. Well, that's a weird. Got his driver's license at long last, so it's like, whew, that's a little nerve-wracking.
Very, especially when driving with him.
Yes.
Like really? That's the standard. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm sure people thought the same thing when we got our driver's license.
I have no doubt. Every day I feel older and more like my parents.
These crazy kids and their 9-inch nails.
Yeah.
Or in my case, these crazy kids and their Al Jolson.
I don't even know who Al Jolson is. Oh my God. I don't know what that is.
Singing all their songs through megaphones.
I loved 9 Inch Nails. My mom would actually let me play 9 Inch Nails in the cassette deck.
Ooh,
on the way to school.
Fancy.
Yeah.
I'm so old. I had the 8-track adapter for cassette, so you look like an 8-track, and you put your cassette in it, so you could still play it on your 8-track player. So
didn't even know that was a thing.
It was a thing.
My parents had 8-track players. I never saw that thing
for about 8 months. It was a thing, and it never worked. But anyway, so if we sound a little bit more nervous and on edge this week,
yeah, it's all Brian's fault.
It's because we've been driving in the car with a 16-year-old. So.
Overall, he does a good job. I gotta say, it's just there's moments where I fear for my life. That's all.
So, what, pray tell, do you have in store for people this week?
Well, we're going to discuss this new tread safety rollout.
Okay.
We have a visit from the Peloton Prophet.
Ooh, haven't heard from him, her, or them in a while.
We also have a brand new contest to announce.
Fun.
Yes. And then we're going to talk to Dr. Jen about how to help family members stay healthy. And then we have a nutrition question all about intermittent fasting that Angelo helps us out with. And then a ton of Peloton news.
And let's not forget our big interview with Snooki from MTV's Jersey Shore.
I couldn't forget. I mean, wow, it was an amazing interview. I had a lot of fun. It was very surreal.
Quite the coup. We were super excited. We were surprised that we got a yes. So.
Yeah. We were.
That's why you ask these questions. Sometimes the girl will go to prom with you. You got to throw it out there.
That's why they say you never know.
You never know.
Unless you ask.
So very excited about that. So before we get to all that shameless plugs, don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeart, TuneIn, wherever you find a podcast, you can find us while you're there. Be sure and leave a review if you would be so kind, just so people that come along after you know that we're worth checking out. We have a new review.
Oh, yay.
This is from MoDaddy99.
Okay.
And it says, great podcast. Thank you guys for what you do, keeping us all up to date on all things Peloton. Always look forward to the Friday podcast drops. And then Happy New Year, because it's been there for a while.
Wow.
So,
well, thank you for the awesome review.
yes. And we are having a good New Year. We just got to take our masks off.
Yeah.
So,
it's way better than where we were last year at this time.
We will take that. So also don't forget we have a Facebook page, facebook.com/theclipout. While you're there, like the page, join the group. And of course, don't forget we're available on YouTube, youtube.com/theclipout. If you want to watch our Snooki interview, you can do that over there. While you're there, be sure and subscribe to that so you don't miss the video version of the show. And of course, you can get all the links, pictures, stuff like that, emailed to you in a weekly digest if you sign up for the newsletter at theclipout.com. So there's all of that. Let's dig in, shall we?
We shall.
Run, lift, and live with John Mills.
So joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is John Mills. Hello, John. How's it going?
How's it going? It's going great.
Always bringing that energy.
That's right. And it's after work, so, it's all good.
So do you feel safer with your passcode? Do you feel like you're in a cocoon of protection?
Yes. I left my front door unlocked today.
I think you
I didn't latch
misunderstood.
it.
I think you misunderstood the kind of protection it affords you.
He's letting the bear use
I
it.
took it too far.
Yeah.
He's letting the bear use
He's
it.
like, I don't lock the front door. I stopped wearing seatbelts. I don't use a
That's right.
condom.
No more seatbelts. That's right. Well, I don't need a condom no more. I got the passcode.
I'm eating fatty foods.
That's right. I just ate 3 Whoppers. No, I mean, I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. Once they implemented it, I started thinking, well, I guess it would take a second to think about what you're going to deploy, because all of the questions that came after it, right? People were like, well, wait a minute. What if I have to go to the restroom? Does it lock? Or
are you in a class? That's the answer. Are you in a class?
Right. I had to keep going through the 4 things. Wait a minute. Let's go through the 4. Oh, I'm in a class. Yeah. No, you're all right. Yeah.
It's like you need a flow chart. No, I got texts and messages yesterday from all kinds of people. Turns out 45 seconds, not that long.
No, it's not. 4 or 5 seconds, kind of quick.
Yeah.
Because I guess all of us did the same thing. We went over to tread, put in our code, and then we're like, let's see how long it takes.
Yeah.
I did that.
Well, I got text saying I had to use the bathroom and I had already picked my class and I came back and I had to start all the way over again. And so I wanted to drop a few tricks for people about this.
Right.
Okay. So here's the deal. The first time you use it, if you haven't used it already, because it rolled out yesterday to most people, but these things don't hit all treads at once. So
right.
What's going to happen is the first time you log in, it's going to make you choose a code. You get one code for the whole household. So everyone who's above the age of 16 and it's safe to give them the code, you share with them. But once you have the code installed, you have to be doing something or it will lock within 45 seconds. So you either have to touch the screen, you have to be in a class, you have to have the tread on and running. It has to sense somebody. So I think those are the 4 things. So if you go up, here's my suggestion for people. First of all, pee. Like before you touch the, before you approach the tread.
I'm 50. I never miss a chance to pee.
I feel like talking about pee is going to make both of you have to pee.
It happens. It's like when you yawn. Just don't fart.
Oh, why did you say that?
So I think that you need to get that out of the way before you even approach the tread. And then you need to put your shoes on before you look at your class. Like don't even decide until you have everything ready. Get your water bottle and then have your watch ready to go. Right. Okay, now once you get there and you decide a class, which you could have done on your phone and just saved it as a bookmark. But once you do that, then go ahead and like turn the tread on. Just turn it on a 1.0 while you like hook up your Bluetooth sensors and stuff while you're doing all that. That keeps it engaged, keeps it going. That gives you longer than 45 seconds. Those are my tips for everyone frustrated at the 45 seconds.
That's good. Those are good ones. Because I was wondering about stacking. So like that was the scenario. Like a person that's doing stacking and they finish the first one and then they run off the tread for a second. They come back and it's locked, right? They go, I got to, no, you're not in the class. So it's going to lock. Yeah. You have to type back in.
Yeah. You got to get back to your stack. But you could hit continue stack and then pee, or you could go pee and then come back and then like re-log in and go to your stack. Like it's not that hard to get to your stack.
Or you could get some of that moisture wicking clothing.
Oh, just
pee right there.
Where depends.
Right.
Where depends. That's
what I'm talking about right there.
We've got options for you.
I'm a problem solver.
I like that if you want to lock at any point, you just put it to sleep, right? Hold the button, let go. When it goes to sleep, it locks, right?
Yes, but here's one thing I don't like about it. When it comes back, why is it not on the screen you left it on? Like if you, that's the only thing. Like it should be like a screensaver. It just locks the outside, not like the inside. So if you were picking a class, you ran off to go pee. When you come back, part of the reason people are so frustrated is because you got to go all the way back to the beginning. I have to pick my profile. I don't want to go back into my profile. So it's two more steps. I think they can make it just a little couple tweaks to make it better.
Right. Yeah, I'm assuming they'll kind of tweak it and clean it up and do some things with it.
I think so. I'm seeing lots of suggestions for like, I would just like to sign a waiver that I don't need this. And I'm thinking that's not going to happen.
I was wondering about that before they put it out, if whether or not this was going to be optional.
It does not appear so.
You automatically opt in, but then you can opt out. I was wondering if they would do that, but I guess not.
I don't think they're going to, because the whole thing is it's about accident prevention. Nobody plans to have an accident. Right? Like everybody thinks they're going to be okay. Like if you thought you were going to get injured or someone in your house would be injured by the tread, you wouldn't have bought it in the first place, right? Right. So I mean, like so it's
all right, Tom.
Well, I'm just applying a little logic to it. Like
I know we're just disappointed.
Yeah. But yeah, like if that's like saying, well, I'm not going to get in a wreck. No need to wear a seatbelt.
Well, John was,
Yeah.
I'm not messing my door still. It's kind of safe.
Yeah.
I feel safe now with this.
So it's just a brave new world to get. It's like anything. You'll get used to it. It's like when your phone first had a passcode and you were like, ugh.
What the?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you're like.
And now on the Apple, at least you can use kind of Face ID now.
Yeah, that's true.
That was at my work phone. That was painful. Because they have rules and guidelines, and they have to be a certain amount of time. So the thing's locking like every few seconds.
Well, and if you're wearing a mask all the time with your face thing, then you're like,
that don't work.
Ah, dang. Ah, dang. Ah, dang.
I don't know how bank robbers do it. Like that would have to be frustrating.
I'm thinking they don't want Face ID to work.
No, okay, that makes sense too.
Maybe a thought.
So also, I guess moving along, Jennifer Jacobs has popped back up in a new and interesting locale.
Yeah, so believe it or not, guys, I think we have to preface this by who the heck is Jennifer Jacobs, because it has been like over a year, and how many people have joined Peloton in the last year? So I think we have to start with that.
That is I got that question too, and I posted about it as well. It was posted in my group, and a couple people went, okay, time out. Who's Jennifer Jacobs?
Right.
Which kind of completely threw me. I'm like, oh, that's right.
But JJ, JJ.
JJ, JJ, right? I know who she is.
Yeah, well,
I guess I can't play that parody anymore because people will be like, what?
Right? Well, if you know, you know. If you know, you know. But let's see. So I don't remember when she started, because I think that she started before we joined Peloton. So it was probably, 2015? And so she was around until 2019. And so she had been a coach for a long time. She's a cyclist, outdoor cyclist as well. And she left Peloton. Why'd she leave Peloton? Well, it depends on who you ask, and we're not going to get into that today. But what we are going to get into is she has been working on things in the background. She had been at a company called Ladder, where she was providing personal training. My understanding from her Instagram account is she's still at Ladder. Starting today, she is also a coach at Beachbody, and she is going to be teaching indoor cycling classes in English and French, which is new.
Yeah. So she's an actual coach. She's just not going to try and pop up in my Facebook feed and sell me shakes.
Well, that is a big part of Beachbody. So
Right?
I
I mean,
can't say she's not going to try to
The nutrition
sell you
part,
things. Yeah.
But they call all the people, all their people who are out selling things it's an MLM, right? Basically.
I mean,
yeah.
the shake part of it is,
Yeah.
I don't know how else to.
Like they call them coaches, so that's why I was like, so is she actually teaching classes, or
She is
did she
teaching
just
classes.
buy a bunch of stuff to sell?
Yeah. I mean, it sounded like the way it was described on their Instagram page, like she was specifically brought in for the content that they're going to be providing off the mixed bike and on that mixed bike.
Yeah.
So
I thought it was interesting. I'm sure you saw in your group that Oleg posted about like, hey, is this going to cause problems because they mentioned Peloton? And at first I was like,
Yeah,
what
I
are
don't
you
know.
talking about? But I don't know. He might have a point. I'm a
He
little
might.
curious to see how that goes.
I don't know because what I didn't read the whole thing, but what I saw where I remember the Peloton mentioned is they referenced it as former Peloton instructor Jennifer Jacobs.
But it's another company mentioning Peloton,
Sure,
and they don't
but-
have Peloton's right to do that.
I think it's okay because it's a statement of fact. Like they're not like that is what she used to do. It's like when somebody leaves a band, they can still say, Dennis DeYoung, formerly of Styx, even though he doesn't own the rights to the name Styx, because that's a statement of fact. He was in the band Styx.
Yeah, I get that, and that was my take on it originally.
Yeah.
But then he said he got called out for it. Like there was a long story that happened, but it happened to him with another company, and so that's why he was like, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So
I think if they were using it in marketing materials, they would have issues. But like in a press release or a bio of her on the website, that's more like text driven. Like if they
It's like
put out
informational.
if they put out an ad and it was like formerly of Peloton, like then I think they might have an issue. But I think what I've seen thus far, I don't think that there's a whole lot they can do about it. I mean, they could rattle their saber just to make them jump through some hoops, but I don't know that they'd really get anywhere.
okay.
But
I think it's all fascinating. On the same day that they announced that Jennifer Jacobs is now going to be a part of this new, what do they call it? Body, B-O-D-I,
Yeah,
that they're
body with an
interactive
I because they're fancy.
with an I. Yeah, that's a part of this new mix offering. The same day they announced her, they also released an earnings statement that is combined Beachbody Mix first quarter 2021. And it just feels to me like they're really trying to play up and prepare people for this IPO so that they see it as we are now the only true competitor of Peloton. It's like they're trying to position it. That's the way I'm reading these things coming out.
I think that you're right. I think that is what
And
they're
their
doing.
timing. It's like and when you look at their previous press release, they said the IPO would occur before the end of the second quarter of 2021, which would be the end of next month. Like all of this seems like they're just kind of they're rearing up, right? That's what it feels like.
well, I'm
And then
confused.
again, when you look at their numbers,
I'm confused if
their
they're
subscribers.
If their IPO is that close, I mean, just looking back to when Peloton was going through that, shouldn't they be in like a quiet period or whatever? So
That's a good point.
that kind of makes
That's a
the
good
IPO idea kind of sound like bullshit. But I mean, an MLM wouldn't lie to you.
What is the quiet period? Is like 2 or 3 months? I can't remember.
I don't know, but it is significant.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Right.
it's not like 2 weeks. Put it that way.
I mean, it seemed like it went on forever. There was a good chunk of time where it was just radio silence from Peloton.
That's a good point.
So-
that's a good point.
Although I will
But
say
they're-
this.
but they're yeah, it's just it feels like the numbers they released some numbers last month, and then it made you go, what? You guys have that many subscribers? And now they released the combined number of subscribers and their revenue and their retention rate. Like like they're trying. Like maybe it's just me reading into it. It feels like a week and a half ago, Nautilus releases their numbers, and then like 2 weeks ago, Peloton releases their earnings numbers. And now, 2 weeks later, they're like, when they don't have to, they're releasing comparable metrics.
Yeah.
It just seems
they're kind of
interesting to me.
preparing people to invest, is what you're thinking. Like they want to get the investors. They're going after the investors for their IPO. Is what I hear you saying.
That's
Which
what I think.
that's interesting. That's an interesting approach because I kind of feel like Peloton didn't really need to do that. Like.
Right.
Because you can't convince investors of anything. Like, it's just like, it's all like the financials. That's all they care about. They don't care about learning the inner workings of things and how like fervent the following is. And I don't think Beachbody has that. I don't think there's another company on the planet that's fitness related that has that. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that doesn't matter. It's kind of like we talked about last week, John. Define winner.
Right.
Well, I think
what I did, I keep interrupting you, Tom. My bad. Go ahead.
I think it's a smart hire. I think that, I don't know that she lures anybody away from Peloton necessarily, but I think that she's obviously a quality instructor, and she's going to bring things that she learned with her. It's like a baseball team hiring a veteran, teach the younger kids how to do it right. And I think it also it gives them a tacit maybe endorsement is too strong of a word, but like it says something about the quality of the class. Like if this instructor was good enough for Peloton for 5 years, then that the classes she's teaching will be of a certain quality. I'm honestly surprised we haven't seen more of these companies doing it. To me, it's such an obvious choice is to go scoop up some of these former Peloton instructors.
I agree with that.
And I have been positively mystified watching these companies that will copy everything Peloton does, but not hire their former instructors.
Maybe
it's
they're not.
Head scratcher.
Maybe they did try and they're not paying enough. Maybe those instructors, because Peloton pays their instructors very well.
I get not being able to lure them away from Peloton.
No, I know, but even the past instructors, maybe they've found other ways to make that money, and they don't. Whatever's being offered, maybe that's not a good enough deal.
Yeah, that could be, but to me, it seems like such an obvious choice to go hire a couple Peloton instructors and let them teach the other people kind of what works and what doesn't, and then like move forward with that sort of product line. But nobody
it looks like that's what they're going to do here. How disappointing would it be to see Jennifer Jacobs? Because have you seen the images of what it looked like these classes are going to look like?
No,
I
didn't.
saw images.
No.
And the background, kind of the production looks like kind of cheesy. Like I'm hoping like this evolves into something that's comparable, because how disappointing. You get this instructor that could bring this kind of life, and it's just this cheesy representation. Like I'm hoping that doesn't happen.
I hope for Jennifer Jacobs' sake that is not what's happening.
It's kind of like when Meadowlark Lemon left the Harlem Globetrotters to start the Bucketeers.
Yep, it's just like that.
Right.
You're just like, does the world need two novelty basketball teams?
Well, yeah, they got to play each other.
The answer was no. They do not.
Maybe not. And then the other thing about it, when I'm looking at all the numbers, is you now learn that Mix only has 11,000 subscribers. That was really interesting. I mean, so they have, Beachbody has all these subscribers, and they got all these numbers and everything. But from a bike perspective, they're going to have nothing. They got the social representation. Their social numbers are up there near Peloton. Their subscription base, even though it's just for nutrition and digital, is up there with Peloton. But when you talk about when you combine the two, when you talk about actual hardware sales and bike subscriptions, it's like minuscule. So you see that's where their challenge is going to be. Are they going to be able to get all those millions of people to go buy that mixed bike? Right. That
Seems
to me
unlikely.
is the question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that.
It seems unlikely.
What is the price point?
That's the challenge.
How does the price point compare? I can't remember. Do we know?
I don't remember either. I think it was around $2,000, but I
So
don't
it's
remember.
similar to Peloton?
I think so.
Oh, that's.
I don't remember. I
don't-
go back and look.
That gives that I thought it was going to be like an Echelon offering price wise. I'm not saying Beachbody is offering what Echelon is offering from a quality standpoint, but from a price wise, that makes me think the answer is no. They're not going to be able to convert all those people, because if price is the issue, that's why they're not with Peloton. Then they're going to go buy a cheaper bike, not a mixed bike.
Now you remember also that the mixed position was. You're the unsocial person.
Oh,
you don't
yeah.
want to talk to nobody.
Right.
You just want to get on a bike and do a class. You are like anti-social.
I had forgotten that.
That is the way they advertise.
Yeah,
Remember,
their target demographic is witness relocation programs.
That's right. It's like, I don't want to talk to nobody. If anybody's on this ride with me, I'm getting off.
Right.
Like that was their whole thing. And now Beachbody's coming in with all this social stuff. Like, I don't know. We'll see.
They have to really reinvent themselves.
Yeah.
This is very interesting.
Yeah, it'll be
They
interesting
might
to watch.
switch that up.
Yeah. Well, awesome, John. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next week, where can people find you?
They can find me on Facebook, my Run, Lift, and Live group or page. They can find me on Instagram, Run, Lift, and Live, or runliftandlive.com.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cool. Nice talking to you guys.
You too.
Likewise.
A visit from the Peloton Prophet.
So it's been a little bit since we've had a visit from the Peloton Prophet.
That it has.
And they have a new prediction for us.
They do. So we are hearing that the timeline for the new products that are coming out for Peloton.
That's a bold prediction.
It is.
It's something everybody's been waiting on.
It is.
So like that's not just like, oh, hey, we have a new instructor assistant in New Zealand.
No,
like that's a big deal. Okay.
It's a big deal. And the Prophet says that strength will be announced fall of 2021 and that the rower will be announced during the first half of calendar year 2022.
Okay. Well, we will see.
Yeah.
Place your bets. Place your bets.
Yeah. I mean, I believe this. I believe this is happening. Just to be clear, I am 100% on board, and I am very, very curious to see how this all goes.
Absolutely. So, yeah. I don't know. I want to have a good outro. I don't have one.
Let's roll away.
Okay.
Your chance to win with the Clip Out.
We have a new contest for people.
We do.
Yeah.
It's very exciting.
And this one is just an enter the win kind of thing. There's no money needed, so it's free to everyone.
Yes.
And people have heard us talking about MetPro and our journey with MetPro and us both having slim girlish figures. And we have a chance for you to win 6 free months of MetPro. You get your own personal MetPro assistant who will text and talk to you and keep you on the correct path
and help you hack your metabolic profile. Like,
That too.
it's so much more complex than it sounds. It's not just a person telling you
Totally.
like, oh, you should eat this. Like, oh, you should eat healthier. That's not what's happening.
Right.
Like, this is super, super specific information.
Yeah, they put the dots close together and it for you.
Yeah.
And so it's more than just someone saying eat healthy where
Yeah.
you're like, no shit.
Yeah.
So like if it's working for me of all people. So it's very easy to enter. If you go to metpro.co/TCO, you can either sign up for a consult or download the app. Either way. And if you do that, you will be automatically entered in the contest. Boom. That easy. And now for the people, because we've had a lot of people already sign up with MetPro.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
And if you're like, you dirty bastards, don't worry. Like you're already automatically entered. So if you win, then they'll just give you 6 free months moving forward. You'll be good to go. So don't feel like, oh, you got penalized for signing up early. You did not. You were still entered into the contest. So
And if you've already downloaded the app, then go do the consult. Or if you did the consult but you didn't download the app, you didn't do anything, go do the other one. You'll get entered. That's another way to enter. You might have done one step but not the other.
Yeah.
If you do the other step this month, between now and the end of June, you can enter.
So 6 free months of MetPro, and you can get your own. You can play along with us at home. Won't that be fun?
It will.
So once again, metpro.co/TCO.
Getting the psychological edge with Dr. Jen.
So joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is Dr. Jen Mann, licensed marriage, family, and child therapist and sports psychology consultant. You may know her from VH1's Couples Therapy with Dr. Jen or VH1's Family Therapy with Dr. Jen, her long-running radio show, The Dr. Jen Show, and she's written 4 best-selling books, including The Relationship Fix, Dr. Jen's 6-Step Guide to Improving Communication, Connection, and Intimacy. It's Dr. Jen. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Well, I have yet another question for you from the Clip Out community. This one is from Amy Miller Sams. She would like to know how she can be helpful to family, and helpful is in quotes. I feel like I need to say that.
Helpful, i.e. make them.
I think that's what we're going for. To family members who are grown adults who need to incorporate healthy habits and ditch non-healthy habits into their lives. As we all know, we don't make changes until we want to make a change. Nagging, suggesting, inviting, etc. don't seem to work. So help.
This is such a good question. And I totally get this. I'm right now working on my father in a number of health areas, especially healthy diet areas. And I think that the key is, first of all, knowing the person and knowing kind of the psychology of that particular person and looking at what will motivate that person. You know, for some people, pain is the great motivator. For other people, you know, aesthetics is the great motivator. For others, it is research-based. Show me an article, show me research that says if I do X, then Y is going to happen. I think that for some people, you know, nagging may work, but that tends to be the least effective. I think that, and I hate the word nagging, but I think that really coming from a loving place is important. And coming from a place, I think the more critical you are of the person, the more power you lose. That if you're like, let's say you have a spouse that is overweight, you know, criticizing their body is unlikely to get you results. But coming from an angle of like, I want to be able to share life on this planet with you for as long as possible. And I'm worried that you're hurting your health. You know, let's talk about what you might be willing to do to live longer and have a healthier life. So I think that really knowing the psychology, and at the end of the day, you can't make someone do something that they don't want to do. And I think it's particularly hard when you're someone who lives a healthy lifestyle. You know, look, I'm vegan, I exercise 7 days a week, I'm obsessed with my Peloton. And so I get where Amy's coming from. And it's very hard when you see other people making choices that you know are going to lead them to an earlier grave than they would necessarily need to have. And that it's hard to relate when you're someone who's so deeply integrated this into their lives. Part of what's important to understand is that when we look at studies of people who exercise regularly, when we look at, you know, people who change their diet, that there is a positive association for those of us who have integrated into our lives. For example, and they talk about this in the book, The Power of Habit, that when they looked at studies of people who exercise for the long term on a regular basis and ultimately lost weight, what they found is that there was an association between exercise and endorphins and feeling good and accomplishment and all of this stuff. And what we forget when we're people who exercise regularly is that when people first start out exercising, they don't get any of that. Exercise is painful. Mm-hmm. It is challenging.
Yes.
You oftentimes feel like a failure in the beginning because you can't do that much. And especially if you have a partner that exercises a lot, you look at them and you're like, oh my God, my wife is lifting heavier than I am. I feel terrible. So it starts out with a negative association, and the person who's making the change has to tolerate the negative feelings associated with exercise for a temporary period. Because like if you first start running, you're not going to get endorphins. You have to have a certain level of fitness to get those endorphins. You're also not going to get a feeling of accomplishment. You may get a feeling at the end like, wow, I did something that was really hard and I challenged myself, but you're not going to get the feeling like, now when I go on the treadmill, you know, at the beginning, I'm not a natural runner. I've talked about this a lot. It was painful. It was hard. Getting through 20 minutes was killer. But now on my long run, I can do an hour and I can look back and I go, wow, I'm so awesome. This is amazing. Look how far I've come. And that feels great, even if that hour doesn't always necessarily feel great. But it feels great in the end. And even when I'm doing it, it feels better than it did when I did the 20 minutes in the beginning. So understanding kind of the psychology behind it. And also, if you're encouraging someone to make changes, you're better off encouraging them to make small changes and doing it incrementally than being like, you should be working out every day like I do. Instead, hey, maybe you'll try like a 5-minute stretch class with me. Or, hey, would you be up for doing a 5-minute core class. I've had a lot of friends who've approached me over the last year because I post all of my workouts on Insta stories, who have said like, hey, I'd love to start working out. Can you help me? And one of the things that I always recommend is start with Emma's Crush Your Core, because it starts with 5 minutes. You're on the floor on your back. You're practically laying down. Like, it's hard. You build up, but it will give you a feeling of accomplishment and help you integrate exercise into your life. And that's, to me, the perfect starter.
Yeah, I don't think my body makes endorphins. That's where I still get none of that. I have endorphins.
Yeah. But are you doing any cardio? I know you're doing weights. Are you doing any cardio?
Some.
He does a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like he has to do he does like floor-based, like kind of HIIT cardio type things
Like
that he has to do.
MetPro people make me do.
Yeah.
And the strength stuff like feels like cardio by the time I'm done.
His heart rate is definitely up.
Like, and no endorphins. Is that a medical condition? Is that a real thing? Do I just not make them?
It's not. But what's probably happening, my guess, and this is just a hypothesis, is that you're not doing cardio long enough to get that.
Sure feels long.
Yeah. No, look, those HIIT cardio classes are killers. Like, that's part of my new workout regimen this year. And I do 2 10-minute HIIT cardio classes, and like each time I'm like, how am I going to get through this? Like, I don't know that I'm going to be able to get through this. Somehow you do. But I do find like I get endorphins on the bike and on the tread. I've never gotten endorphins doing a HIIT cardio class. Maybe it will come one day. Maybe I'm just not at the level, but where I see it the most is the tread and the bike.
Interesting.
It is.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, where can people find you?
You can find me on all social media, especially Instagram. Like I mentioned, on Insta Stories, I post all of my Peloton workouts at Dr. Jen Mann, 2 N's on Jen, 2 N's on Mann.
New content.
From one Jen to another.
Both with 2 N's.
Both with 2 N's. Jen Sherman has a new class type she created.
Yeah, it's a new series called Sold Out Show. So every week she's going to take us on a musical journey that's going to be some of like her favorite concerts that she's ever been to. And so it kind of goes with that vibe. And I believe this is going to be another 4-week series, and it starts this Sunday. I am super excited about that. So what would that be? The 23rd, something like that? I don't even know anymore.
I think that's right. I don't know. But so the first one, the first sold out show will be?
I don't know, because you have it on your screen and you would need to scroll down.
Oh, she talks about Journey in the post.
I think that was just what she said she was doing.
So I wonder if that means since she started off talking about Journey, it's going to be Journey, or
I don't know. A lot of times when she does these new series, she'll talk about them like the day before. Like
Gotcha.
She'll like announce it the day before.
Okay, well, I guess you just have to go take the ride to find out.
I will be there, if that matters to anyone.
Instructors in the news.
Yahoo sat down this week and talked to Kendall Toole about mental health.
Yeah, and so it's Mental Health Awareness Month, and Kendall has done a class. She's done a class a long time ago, but she also did one this month that was the Mental Health Awareness Ride. And I've heard lots of people talk about it at this point, and it's something she's very, very passionate about. Because, as this article explains, she started her mental health journey pretty early. She was, I believe it said, she was 11 when she was diagnosed with OCD, which is obsessive compulsive disorder. And she learned to manage that. But then in college, she was also diagnosed with anxiety and depression. And so this article talks about how she's used that diagnosis, her counseling that she has received, to like learn how to function in life better. And now she uses that to help other people. Like one of the things that Peloton posted from her mental health awareness ride was talking about how you don't need to worry about next week or next month, just worry about, or how it's all going to work out. Like just worry about today, one step at a time. And you hear that a lot when it comes to depression and anxiety. As an anxious person, I know that I am constantly thinking about what's next. And sometimes I can get like 5, 6, 7 steps down the road, and
Yeah.
they can be real dark places.
Yes. Yes, I know.
Well, they don't all know that. I'm just saying it can be very helpful to talk that through with somebody and to hear that advice. So I think that's really cool that they are highlighting it.
Absolutely.
Checking out the competition.
Well, Echelon, who we like to tease for copying so much from Peloton, has copied from them again. They also have a leaky API.
They do.
How about that? And people affected is expected to be in the tens.
I mean, true, they do not have the amount of customers that Peloton does, nor will they ever. But the interesting thing about this is that it actually hold right there. It let this person who found it, Jan Masters, who was the same person who found the one over at Peloton. The account data was name, city, age, sex, phone number, weight, birthday, workout statistics, and history of any member in a live or pre-recorded class. Also, the API disclosed members some information about members' workout equipment, such as its serial number. And the really crazy thing was that some of this stuff could be manipulated. So, like, that's kind of crazy. Like, they were copying Peloton from how they were handling their data, but it was also worse how they were handling it. So, kind of interesting information.
Well, that kind of sums up Echelon. Like Peloton, but worse. I think that's their new slogan.
Is it?
I will gift that to them. I might as well gift it to them because if they wanted it, they'd just take it.
That's true. That's true.
The Clip Art.
So joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube from MetPro, it's Angelo. Hey, Angelo, how's it going?
Hey, Tom, Crystal, it's wonderful to be back.
Well, it's wonderful to have you here. You might remember that we started gathering some questions from our Clip Out community, and we have a brand new one for you today. David Howenstein, I'm hoping I am not completely butchering his last name. He would like to know, what should a person focus on for intermittent fasting? Or do you agree with a fasting program? Let's dig in.
Let's dive in. So, and like the answer to every question that you will ever ask me in these segments, the answer is always, it depends.
Are you running for office? What is going on?
So that's right. And this is why there is so much value in knowing your metabolic profile, because that's what it really depends on. So what should you focus on? Well, if you're doing intermittent fasting, you should be focusing on weight loss. Don't do intermittent fasting and then focus on PRs or hitting new heights of athletic performance. I mean, I know there are the guys in the commercials and the YouTube channels that say, I'm getting stronger every day on intermittent fasting. Well, they'd be getting stronger still if they weren't. Trust me. It's, training plus fuel equals your best performance. That said, if somebody's doing intermittent fasting, their goal is weight loss. Now, there ends up being a few tentacles to this that are really important. People just don't understand when they're diving into something. One of the most common questions we get asked is, why is it you're not using that science when you use so many different sciences? We're highly diverse. We'll use macronutrient ratioing, carb manipulation, calorie control, glycemic load, meal timing, 6 different modalities of training. But we don't usually, I say usually because there are even exceptions there, but usually the intermittent fasting, because what's going to happen is when somebody is trying to lose weight, there's going to be a cycle. So you're going to do X strategy to lose weight. Now, in our minds, we're going to do X strategy until we get to the weight we want to be, and then we live a balanced lifestyle. Doesn't work that way. You're going to do X strategy and you're going to lose some weight. You're not going to get where you want to, and your metabolism is going to go, I get it. And it's going to acclimate to that. And you're still going to have 20 pounds to go, or whatever the case may be. Knowing that's going to be the case, no matter how great a program it is that you dive into, when you hit that point where now your body is acclimated to your strategy, we've optimized exercise, volume, intensity, and modality. We've optimized your meal layout nutritionally for the strategy you're implementing, and you're still at a point where your body's not giving up more pounds. Then the third lever is going to be, we have to speed your metabolism. That's the point at which you are at a disadvantage with a more aggressive intermittent fasting strategy. So people will ask me all the time, do you lose more weight by eating small meals frequently or eating one or two bigger meals? And the answer is you're going to lose about the same given what the calorie content is, what the volume of food is. So average person who's used to eating 2,000 calories a day, it could be much more, much less, but we're just using that for the illustration, and spreads those 2,000 calories out over 5 or 6 small meals, snacks throughout the day, versus someone who eats just 1 or 2 times a day, will both lose about the same weight. There's nuances here. If exercise is involved, you could make an argument that the one spreading it out will recover better and have more energy and therefore lose more consecutive weeks. But by and large, just from a pure weight loss standpoint, about the same. The problem we get to is that point that I talked about earlier, where you do hit a plateau. Mm-hmm. Everybody will plateau at that point. We have to get your body used to more fuel. That's where there is the trade-off. And I'm not saying intermittent fasting is bad, because there is scenarios and there is science to it. But that's where there's a trade-off, because it's exponentially harder for me as a coach to now work with someone who's used to only eating once or twice a day, bigger meals, to get them used to more fuel without gaining weight. If I have someone who's used to eating 4, 5, 6 times a day, I can gradually increase their intake with minimal, no weight gain sometimes. In fact, occasionally, about 25 to 30% of the time, we can even lose a few more ounces while increasing their intake. If somebody's only used to eating once or twice, I only have 1 or 2 meals to add those calories to add those carbs to. And usually they're already fuller meals because they're going to be hungry if they're only eating that with that frequency. So that's where it gets a little bit more tricky, which is why you get that rebound weight gain a little more aggressively coming off of something like an intermittent fasting style. That's not to say it doesn't have its upsides. The principal upside is not what the gurus will sometimes overemphasize. Well, it's how your biology and hormones work when you're only eating once a day. That is true. There is truth to that. There is science behind that, but that's not the principal factor. The principal factor is you're eating less calories, you're eating less food, or you're eating less carbs because you're eating less often. And as a human being with a busy lifestyle, it is generally speaking easier to consistently eat less calories when you're skipping meals versus having to eat just right at each meal or snack. That takes more effort, more preparation, more thought. In other words, I mean, it's simple math. Instead of having 1 or 2 opportunities to eat something wrong, you have 4 or 5 opportunities to eat something wrong. So from a behavioral standpoint, sometimes people that just are struggling to get on board can find that they can compartmentalize the timing of their meals and lower their calories. But I want to just eliminate the myth of, well, it's because you're only eating in this 2 or 3 hour tight turnaround. It's blown out of proportion. We know that because of people who've gone through gastric bypass surgery and different, interventions of a surgical nature. What we'll find most of the time is they end up coming out on the other side eating very frequently small meals. Not always healthy either. Yeah. I've known many people, they'd wake up and eat a couple Triscuits and usually a handful of M&Ms a little later, and maybe they get one meal that's healthy, nutritious throughout the day. I'm not saying that's how you should do it, but this is the stuff I hear. But you know what? They're losing weight. Hand over foot, they're losing weight. I
feel like the more we talk to you, the more so many of these, so many diets that are out there, whether it's intermittent fasting or low carb, it's really more about like a personality quirk of the person that like there are a million different ways to get there, and for some people that's just the easier way to do it because of just how they're wired for whatever reason.
Right. I'll give you an example of when I actually instructed a client to use intermittent fasting. I'll give you 2 examples. So the first example was I had a client who he had a voracious appetite, and he would have long work days that required him to wake up early in the morning. And so what was happening is he was getting up, training at 4:35 a.m.
Oh.
And then he was needing to eat 2 or 3 times before lunch because after that intense training, he had this voracious appetite, and then he just kept eating throughout the day. So in his case, what we did was we had him sleep a little more in the morning, reposition his workouts to be right after lunch. Though it meant he didn't have as much time, so he had to shorten his workouts, he found that having breakfast a few hours later, in his case, it was about 10:30, 11 in the morning. That was still a significant switch. He was still eating 4 or 5 times a day, but he was able to tolerate a significantly lower calorie load and still recover from it. And that enabled him to lose weight.
Okay.
Interesting.
Now, another example is I had a gal who she was one of the TV personalities that went on those deserted island type deals, and survive for 30 days, and you're going to eat the bugs and the whatever you get. Now, she didn't need to lose any weight. In fact, she actually wanted to gain a couple pounds. She was terrified that she was going to have low blood sugar and have a ravenous headache and feel miserable the whole time because she would eat every few hours. So I worked with her for about 6 months leading up to the show. And what we did was we slowly got her down to just eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner, no snacking. And then after that, we took out her breakfast. And so she was just doing lunch and dinner. And then about 3 weeks before her leaving for the show, she just would do a really big dinner and a snack. We did that to recondition her metabolism to running slower. So now here's the big shocker. Eating less often doesn't speed your metabolism, it slows it. But by the way, I'm telling on myself here, so does eating less calories. Even if you're spreading them out through the day, eating less calories also slows it. So the key is we want to hypothesize a strategy that's going to work for you, so that way we can reduce intake in a way that we can strategically recover from on the other side. It takes a little planning. And when we have your metabolic rating and we know where you're starting, it makes it so much easier to determine if you're a candidate for this strategy or that strategy or another strategy entirely that maybe we hadn't thought of before.
And just to really drive the point home, so when David asked the question, what should you focus on for intermittent fasting? The question's actually bigger than that, because it's what is the strategy that works best for David, and that's where having a personalized approach from MetPro really, like, that's where you're getting the bang for your buck, because and we've talked about this before. Tom and I have completely different strategies, and everybody we've talked to who's on MetPro, I mean, I know Tom's just weird, like we know that.
I can attest.
But everybody who's on MetPro is very different. Like there are, it's not the same, because we all have, as you said, Tom, our own little quirks, our own little things that work for us, not only in our head, but our metabolism that we need to change. So
I guess before we go, remind everybody where they can find MetPro if they would like more information.
See, I had to double check. I think I got it right. metpro.co/TCO for the clip out. metpro.co/TCO.
And now through the month of June.
Through the end of the month of June.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyone who either signs up for a consult or downloads the app will be automatically entered to win 6 free months of MetPro. And if you've already signed up or done that, don't worry. They know who you are, not in a creepy way. I mean, you gave them their information. It's your own fault. But
it's such an eloquent way of delivering.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for. So, but you are already entered, so don't feel like you missed the opportunity. And if you do win, they will just credit that moving forward. So go on by metpro.co/TCO for all of that information.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks so much, guys.
So for those of you in the UK, there's a new way to access Peloton.
Yeah, so over in the US, whenever we get something, added, it's like Roku. We know Roku, right?
Right.
Well, this is getting added to SkyQ.
Okay.
And it's so I just wanted to give that example because not everybody knows what SkyQ is.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known what SkyQ was.
Why would we? Because it's targeted to people in the UK.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool because now Peloton is there. So they're starting to roll out on all those screens in the UK and different places as well.
Peloton artist collaborations.
So Peloton has found a new artist for the kids. I say the kids because I've never heard of her.
I haven't heard of her either.
It must be for the kids, right?
I guess. It might just be that we don't listen to a wide variety of modern music.
That could also be the culprit.
Well, apparently this is a perfect balance between R&B and traditions from the South Asian diaspora. Is that how you say that?
I have no idea how you say it. I've only ever seen it written. I don't know how you say it.
I don't either.
Yeah.
So there was an entire yoga class that took place on 5/20. It's going to be an artist series featuring Raveena. And Raveena also went live with Aditi, and they had a whole conversation about working out.
Yeah, and she went on Instagram Live. Here we go.
There it is. So, yeah, they talked about the intersection of music, meditation, and celebrating Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And so also during that Instagram Live, you got a preview of the playlist for Aditi's Yoga Flow. So that's pretty cool.
Awesome.
I really love that they're having these conversations with the artists and stuff.
Absolutely. And if you want a link to that, you can get it by signing up for our newsletter at theclipout.com. So you don't have to go hunting for it. It'll just arrive in your inbox and it'll be there waiting for you. And then also, while we're talking about music and artists, collaborations and whatnot, there is a new Versus for people to check out.
Yeah, this one is Alicia Keys or John Legend. Classes started on May 19th. So you can put hashtag Versus John Legend or hashtag Versus Alicia Keys to vote. I think this is my favorite one so far.
Who are you voting for?
Alicia Keys.
Okay.
She's girl on fire. I mean...
You do love yourself some Hunger Games. And then also Peloton has partnered up with Paralympian Scout Bassett.
Yeah, so this is fun because we have the Champions collection that we've talked about. So there's all these different athletes that have teamed up with Peloton. And this specific one is Scout Bassett has selected several classes. So it's her stack that she selected. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
And you can find them under the Champions collection. Whenever you go to like your bike or tread and look under collections, there will be the Champions collection, and that's where you can find it. I think that's neat.
It is.
Peloton birthdays.
And last but not least, we have a birthday coming up on May 22nd.
We do. Happy birthday to Christian Vande Velde. No clue if I'm totally butchering your name. Actually, this is one instructor I've actually never taken a class with because he is, I would call a guest instructor. He has been part of the Peloton,
Pantheon?
Yes, Pantheon, okay. Perfect word. Since the beginning, but he's a celebrity, so he doesn't pop in and do classes all the time. He teaches classes because he's like a real rider, like a real road rider.
Gotcha, like a professional road rider.
That's the one.
Gotcha. And I can't remember if we said it, but his birthday is on May 22nd if you want to reach out.
Yes. Happy birthday.
Checking in with the Peloton community.
So normally I start these off by joining us via the magic of Zoom too, but today I'm going to pretend like the conversation is taking place entirely via duck phone. You've seen her on Dancing with the Stars, the new Celebrity Apprentice. She was at WrestleMania and competed, but you probably know her best from Jersey Shore. Ladies and gentlemen, the party's here. It's Snooki. Hey, how's it going?
Yes, how are you guys?
We're good. It is so awesome to have you here. I know that you ride Peloton, so I'm really curious. When did you originally come across Peloton and decide this is for me?
Well, I've been working out for 8 years, hardcore now, ever since I had my baby, my first son, Lorenzo, who's going to be 9, insane.
Wow.
Wow. Right when Peloton came out, the first year where it was getting popular and you've seen all the commercials, I was like, oh, I have to get the bike. So I ended up getting the bike, but I'm more of a runner. So before the tread came out, I was just all about the bike and I was forcing myself to do it. And I don't use it anymore because I have the tread now, but it's therapy. And if I don't run or if I don't do my cardio, I'm just a cranky, miserable mom. So I just it's like my saving grace. I have to use it every single day.
That's awesome.
So do you have a Peloton tread or just another tread that you use Peloton content on or?
No, I had to get the Peloton tread. Yeah.
So are you worried about your safety with the Peloton tread and the recall? Are you okay?
No, because so they come and install it and tell you, because I have kids, they're like, oh, you have kids? I'm like, yes. And then they say, you always have to put this thing in there, make sure they're not around the equipment. So when I work out, my kids are not allowed to be downstairs with me. And if they are, they're in the total opposite direction of the room, and they're not allowed to go in the gym unless I'm in there. So I'm not worried about it, but I could see how something bad could happen.
Sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it's still heavy machinery, so it's still, you still have to be careful.
Yeah,
when they delivered crystals, they told her all the same stuff, but because of me.
Yeah, they were like, don't let Tom in the room.
He's not to be trusted.
So you were already working out. You were already going to the gym. Has Peloton changed your fitness level at all since you're doing it every day? Does that make it easier to stay in shape?
I feel like it definitely helped my cardio because I was weight training with my trainer. We've been doing heavy weight training for a while. So it definitely helped me with upping my cardio and helped me running faster, which is good. But yeah, it definitely, it helped overall with, my workouts and stuff like that.
And I know that you really use the bike because the bike is really made for somebody who's 5'4" and above. There was actually a couple of articles that came out about if you're shorter than that, it's the bike's not really made for you. And I was curious if you had any tips for anybody out there who's on the shorter side. What can they do to make the bike more comfortable?
Well, obviously all the settings have to be to the front, all the way to the front, all the way down. Everything has to be on 0. But it's still uncomfortable. I mean, even when I work out in a gym, a lot of the equipment it's not made for a small person. So it's actually do the form correctly. But I feel like the bike's not that bad. It just, it definitely hurts my ass more than usual.
Is there anything any adjustments you have to make for the tread?
The tread, no. Yeah, the tread's pretty good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I kind of like that about the treadmill, that it's more accessible for people. You don't need to know how to do anything. You can just, as long as you can walk, you can get on it and do a workout on it. So I feel like it's super accessible.
So with your fitness stuff, you were a cheerleader in high school, I've read over the years. Did you do fitness stuff then? Or was it just the beauty of youth that you could participate in an activity like that? Because that's pretty intense cheerleading, or at least some squads.
Yeah, so I did competitive gymnastics. I started at 4. My mom just threw me in there. So I did that until 13. And then it really got intense. And I didn't want to, it was just a lot. And, it's hard to be a teenager and also, dedicate your life to that sport. So gymnastics got a little too much. So then I decided to do cheerleading because you could still do the flips and you could still stunt and do all that stuff, but it's not as time consuming. Well, it wasn't all-star cheerleading, but it was high school cheerleading. So I was captain of my cheer squad, and I still got to, do all my back tucks and my flips and stuff like that, just to, still kind of do the sport. And then after college, I did all-star competitive cheerleading. And then I did that until I got onto the show, and then everything just went downhill. I wasn't working out. I was drinking, and I gained 50 pounds. So.
Wow.
Wow. And that has to be quite a culture shock when you're used to being fit in a certain size. And then also I would think it would be difficult because with the nature of the show, you're kind of incentivized to
go party
and drink and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, I just turned 21. So it's kind of like my college years because I never really went away for college. I went to community. So it was like my college years to gain the freshman 15 and go crazy and enjoy yourself. And, I definitely missed working out, but at the same time I had a blast. So
yeah. Were you the top of the cheerleading pyramid? Physically, not the hierarchy of the leadership, but
I
was the captain, so I was the leader.
You were both.
And also, so we're called flyers. So you have bases. So the bases throw the flyers in the air. So I was the flyer because, I'm tiny.
Sure, it makes total sense. If it makes you feel better, I don't know anything about sports at all.
No, he doesn't.
If you were on a football team, were you the thrower guy? That's who I am.
So you said that you're using the treadmill. Do you do any of the yoga content, meditation, anything like that? Or do you just stick with the regular classes? So
I definitely love to take a break from running all the time just because it is exhausting. And, some days you're just not, you don't want to run at 8. Like you want to just relax and like relax your body, but still try and break a sweat. So my number one classes are Adrian Williams boot camps, where you're running and then you do the floor and the weights. So I usually do those, but if my body's really tired, I love the new bar classes that they have. So I'm doing bar classes. I do meditation when I feel depressed. I'm like, okay, girl, this isn't you. So I do meditating and then I sit in the sauna. But I feel like I just feel like Peloton has everything for me when it comes to like my moods. Like I'm not always in like a good mood, I'm like stressed. I have 3 kids and life just happened. So I feel like every class is catered to like what mood I'm in that day.
So who's your go-to instructor for the like your everyday mood?
Adrian Williams.
Yeah, he's amazing.
I just love the fact that like, cause don't get me wrong, all the instructors are amazing. I like to switch it up once in a while, but I feel like when I work out with him, I don't feel pressured and I just feel like I'm chilling, and he has great music and he pushes me, but I don't feel like he's pushing me. Do you know, okay. Just like,
yeah, like he's pushing you, but you don't feel stressed about that pushing.
Right. So like, I feel calm.
Okay. So are there any instructors on a day that you're feeling like super hype, got to take this, I need somebody to really kick my ass. Like who's that instructor?
So if I really want to like die, I'll do the bike with Kendall. Kendall, my favorite. And I become friends with her on Instagram because I'm obsessed with her and I just love her energy. So if I really want to die, I'll take her class.
I saw the other day that the current hardest rated class on the bike is Kendall's metal class.
Yeah, she's insane.
She is insane.
The numbers that she throws out, I'm like, girl, I will never be there on my best day. Like, like her class is like 6,000 people. I'm like 5,800. The last people. But it doesn't help whenever, first of all, being female and, and then like the less that you weigh, the less power that you're putting down. So like that, and that affects the leaderboard. A disadvantage to us. But yeah, I hate seeing the numbers. I'm like, oh. Do you hide the leaderboard? I do. Yeah. But when I'm running, because I don't usually do live classes because I just can't make the times. But when I do run and, there's a couple people taking the class, I make sure that I beat everyone. I'm like on an 8 and I'm dying and I feel like I'm gonna throw up, but I want to make sure that I come in like the first spot or the second spot. Wow. And like, I'm off. Like if they go in front of me, I'm like, fuck you. Like I get mad at them, but then like after I give them all high fives. Okay, so now is that the Here Now crowd that you're beating, or is that the entire? Okay, no, Here Now, yeah. Okay. Guys are jerks, and then I'm like, good job, everyone. Now that I've beaten you, good job. Yeah. Do you high five them as you pass them? Are you like, haha, on your left? When I know like they're not going to beat me anymore, I'm like, good job. Okay. I'll bet. Okay, so we have watched a lot of Jersey Shore, and I feel like I could put together a really hilarious montage of all the times we saw you peeing on the show. I remember reading on your Instagram a while back that you had an incident that you peed on the bike. Is that true? And if so, what happened? So after 3 kids, you just can't control it anymore. So, if you go hard on the bike and you know how you go up and then you go down? Yes. Do that a lot of times, it'll just trickle out. And once I said that, there were so many moms that DM me. They were like, I'm so glad I'm not the only one, because that happens all the time. So usually if I know I'm going to go hard on the bike, I have to like wear my Depends because I know it's going to come out. I mean, everybody's waiting on that Peloton rower, but maybe they need a device for like Kegels. For real. They get on everything, honestly. Well, if they do come out with a rower, are you gonna get that as well? 100%. Anything they come out with, I'll get. Okay. Well, that's good to know. Yeah. I got to say, when you talking about Jersey Shore, obviously, and I know Jersey Shore gets a bad rap in a lot of areas, and I would like to give it a compliment, like a legit compliment. I know that. One of the things I see the Jersey Shore shows do
both the original and Family Vacation that I don't know that I really can see other reality shows doing is like, yes, there's you guys fight sometimes and whatnot, but you guys legit make up.
Yeah.
Like you never see that. I feel like on other shows, like people fighting and then modeling, like owning your shit and apologizing and then getting past it and being friends again. And I think people lose sight of that, or people have never watched it and they assume it's something that it's not.
No, yeah, I feel like we definitely are all a family and we know we're going to work together no matter what. And for me, I hate drama. I hate like bad blood. I hate, the big elephant in the room. It's just not part of my personality because I'm here just to have a good time and go home. So when there is drama with me, it's really hard for me. So that's why I decided to step back and take a break, because it's not the show that I signed up for anymore. But I feel like, when we do fight, we end up definitely making sure that we make up, because we are a family at the end of the day. And, people do fight. It is what it is, especially when you're filming that show, because, we're stuck in a house staring at each other for, 3 weeks. So, I mean, it's bound to happen. But I feel like overall, we just want to have a good time.
It shows.
Totally.
It really does. Yeah. And I like that you guys have a camaraderie. And of course, there's got to be drama because that's life. You all have very strong personalities. You put people in strong personalities in a room together.
Yeah.
So having said that about Peloton, the leaderboard, you were talking about how competitive you are. Do you ever like ride or run with your friends, like your real life friends?
So I used to do it with my sister-in-law when we sucked, and that was nice because we both knew that we sucked. So it was like we were in it together and dying together. And then Jenny, JWoww, recently got the bike and she's been doing that. So we've been trying to do a class together. But I prefer to die alone. So yeah.
Does anyone else in your household use the equipment, or is it all yours?
Yeah, my husband uses it. He doesn't do the classes. He likes to do the landscapes. So he's like in China mountains. So he likes to do that. But sometimes he gets motion sickness. But
has he tried the new ones? They just put out all those new fancy scenic rides.
Oh yeah, I don't know if he's seen that, but he's more of like a scenic ride. Yeah.
Gotcha.
The guided ones with the instructors are pretty cool. If I don't know if your husband will like it, if he likes the traditional ones, but I bet you would like it since you like the instructors. And I'm also curious, do you have any advice for moms who are trying to fit in workouts? I mean, you love being a mom, but you have me time where you're able to you make that work. So how can moms do that?
Well, I definitely feel like it's a lot, especially with 3 kids, because you wake up at 7, drop them off at school, you're getting all your chores done. And by the time you have like a minute to yourself, it's already 7 o'clock at night. And you're like, shit, I didn't even have time to like work out or do anything for myself. So even like taking the Peloton classes, like even if you don't have the equipment and you just have the app, you can literally play it on your TV in your bedroom. Because this is what I do sometimes if I don't have time. When the kids are in bed, I'll do like a 20-minute body weight class just to like get something done, and I'm sweating. I got it done and I feel good. They even have 10-minute like stretching and stuff. So I know moms can be very busy and it's a stressful life being a mom, but taking like the 20 minutes, even like right before bed, it's definitely worth it.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
So, do you ever envision taking a class in the studio when that's allowed again, or is that like too much? Do you think that would be too much? Literally,
right before the pandemic hit, me and my really good trainer friend Adria, she's been trying to be an instructor for Peloton for like 2 years now. She's been sending her resumes, but right before the pandemic hit, we did Cody's class twice, and then they were going to start to do the tread classes. And then that's when everything closed up. And then I was supposed to do this little press thing, and I was going to run with one of the instructors, like, outside and like talk about Peloton. So yeah, I started to, do live classes and stuff like that. Being in the studio is amazing. It
is, right?
Yeah. Because honestly, I do love doing cycle in classes just because you get the vibe. It's all dark. You're all sweaty. It feels like you're in a club because you're listening to the club music. So spin in classes. So yeah, I was doing that and then everything shut down. So hopefully it'll start up because I definitely want to do Adrian's class. I will die. Like that's the first class I'm going to run to is Adrian's class. I'm in there.
Is that the instructor you were supposed to do the press thing with, or was it someone else?
No, I forget who it was. I think it was a girl. But it was right when the tread came out. So, you know, they wanted to like do something with
Gotcha.
that. Yeah, I got upset because COVID ruined everything.
Oh
it
my
ruined
gosh.
a lot of things.
So many things.
That's for sure. So, this is a podcast, in case you didn't know, but you also have a podcast, in case you didn't know. What you want to tell people about your podcast and what all happens on there?
Yeah, so I've had my podcast for like a couple of years now. It's with my gay bestie and makeup artist Joey, and we've actually been doing live virtual shows because right before the pandemic hit, we were touring and like selling out all these venues, doing our live podcast shows, and it was just so much fun. So we ended up doing live ones. So we're doing a live one June 4th. You literally just sign on. It's like a girls' night and we're just like drinking. We do interaction with fans. So it's like a big Zoom of all of us just drinking, being stupid. But yeah, it's called It's Happening with Snooki and Joey. And it's basically a podcast where you're just listening to girlfriends bullshit. And we also do celebrity gossip, but like we report everything wrong and we have no idea what we're saying. So it's it's great.
And I'm also curious now, I don't know how closely you follow Peloton. I can tell you love them. Do you like, were you part of Homecoming that recently happened? Were you watching all of the events that happened, or did you get involved in any of that?
Yeah, so I saw it was happening, but at the time I was doing work and filming stuff. So I didn't have time to be a part of it, but I love all that stuff. I love the fact that they do that because it's just like fun. It's fun stuff for all of us. And it's not just like a regular class. It's like you're excited to do something different.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. What do you feel like? I'm a huge fan of not just the products, but also the company itself. Is there anything that like you kind of nerd out about the company itself? Like, I don't know, the fact that whenever we went to Homecoming a couple of years ago, they had big foam high fives. Like I totally nerded out about that they gave out. Like, is there anything that like you just absolutely love, you're a fan of?
I mean, I feel like we could add some mimosas. We could add alcohol and pizza because, sometimes we should be rewarded for killing it.
Yes. Yes.
We can add that.
I feel like it's a real shame you couldn't like go back in time in a time machine and go to the studio whenever they first opened, because they used to have kind of like parties in the studio with all of the members, and they all like would have like, they weren't supposed to have things in their solo cups, but they had stuff in their solo cups. Yeah. And it was a blast. It was so much fun.
I only did 2 in my life, but mud runs. So you would literally kill it with all your friends, do the mud run, and then everyone will go to the bar and celebrate after. So that's like stuff that's nice. That's fun.
It is.
Yeah.
It motivates you, and then you like let all that adrenaline out in another healthy way.
But after a mud run, when you go to the bar, don't order a mud slide because you won't be able to tell if you dripped into it.
Seriously. I mean,
that's a pro tip.
Literally a mess.
Yeah.
So I know that you mentioned you had worked on kind of like a collaboration. There's obviously lots of other collaborations Peloton is working on. Would that be something that you might be interested in with Peloton in the future? And if so, like, what would you envision that looking like?
A collab like what?
Oh, I don't know. Like they did the thing with Shonda Rhimes where it was the year of yes. And so it was like all inspirational. What if they had like, I don't know, a Snooki version where it was just like people being real?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'd definitely be down for that. All real, like no filter, because that's me all the time, especially as a mom. Like, we had Mother's Day the other day and everyone was posting like all these like glamorous pictures and like their dresses at brunch with their kids and like these, Ralph Lauren outfits. And here's me like begging my kids to take a picture with me at 7:00 at night so I could do my post, and we're all in pajamas. No one's looking at the camera. Everyone's yelling at me and I have no makeup on and I'm just a mess. So I look it real like that and not, try and make everything look like it's, perfect, because it's not. So that would be my thing, is keeping it real. And then of course the classes would be like all house music. Like, let's go.
Now, I'm curious, do you ever take Ben Aldis's classes? Because he does a lot of house music.
Really?
Yes.
that down. Definitely.
Yeah, he's one of the UK instructors, but he does do a lot of house music. So
What about the DJ rides with DJ Jen Mann?
Have you ever tried a DJ ride DJ ride or run?
DJ's so cute because he's so dramatic and like gets into it. And by like the second, 2 minutes in, he's sweating more than like me. And he's just, I love his vibes.
He has the best. He's very motivational and real on his Instagram. He
watch while you're dying.
Yes. And I love how he talks about like his struggles with body image and his mental health issues. And he's very open about all that. And I love that about him.
Totally.
DJ John Michael.
I know.
I was saying it for people who didn't know.
I was like, I'm out of the loop, but I know that much.
What about your boutique that you have, the shop that you have? There's a couple locations, right?
Yeah, so I had the Snooki Shop online for a while. And then I decided, you know what? I always wanted to have like a physical store just to be like, oh, I have like a cute little shop, come in. So I ended up opening that like, I think 3 years ago. And then I just opened a new one in November, a town close to where I grew up, Beacon, New York. And then I have my one here in Jersey and Madison, New Jersey. And right now I'm looking at places in Long Island, just because I have a lot of fans there and Long Island's like amazing. So, I'm trying to expand, but I love being, a store owner just because obviously I love clothes and I love leopards. So the fact that I can have a store filled with leopard stuff, I mean, I love it.
So I have a follow-up here. So you opened a store in November?
Right in the middle of COVID.
Of the pandemic, in November of 2020?
I don't know why. I just, I don't think on things. And I feel like that's why I'm so successful, because I just don't think and I go. And usually shit just happens and, it works out. So, I decided to open in November and I mean, it worked out. It's not like the best, but it's working.
Wow. That's ballsy.
It
like,
is.
I was like,
I'm super jelly. You don't get in your head. You don't get in your head about stuff. You just do it.
I'm a Sagittarius, so I just go. And I feel like if I think about it too much, then it'll never happen. And I always, I don't know, I just go with my gut feeling. I'm very intuitive. So I was like, this has to happen right now.
I'm curious, does your actual home closet look the way a boutique does? I envision that it does for some reason.
My colors in my boutique are black and white and then hints of gold. And my walk-in closet is black and white tile and there's gold everywhere. So literally when I built my house, I made sure I had this closet and I was like, I'm going to pretend this is like my store, but it's really my closet. So everything just came to life.
I love that.
So are you drowning in Peloton branded clothes as well? Or are you like, I got my own boutique, I don't need that stuff?
No, I mean, I like to support myself, but I also love Peloton. So when I do work out, I'm either wearing Snooki Sport, which is like my stuff, or I'm wearing Walmart.
One of the three.
She said keeping it real. Walmart. You don't get much more real than Walmart.
I love that. So, I have a little bit of an addiction with the boutique.
Walmart once a week. It's bad.
Do you? That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. And you can't just buy one thing when you go to Walmart. It's all the things.
Yeah, it's fun.
So do you have any advice for people just getting a bike or tread?
Well, I literally told Jenny this because she just got the bike and now she's on it every single day and she's getting better and better. But I warned her, I was like, girl, it's not easy. Do not take Kendall's class. Go definitely to the beginner's class. Because it can be discouraging, because, people try the bike out and they're not, they're just not ready for it yet. It can be discouraging and be like, oh, I totally made a mistake. This is not for me. So definitely just take it slow. And it takes time to be able to go into the intermediate classes. I mean, it took me like 3 months to be able to do an intermediate class on the bike. So don't be discouraged. Just keep going. And I've been there. I'm still there when I get on the bike because I haven't been on the bike for probably a month now because I've been running. But when I do go on the bike, I'm like, I'm a beginner again. Like this sucks.
Isn't it funny? I always find that so interesting that like you would think running would make you better on the bike, but it makes me worse on the bike. Like my output goes down. I could run every single day and I get on that bike and my output goes down. It drives me nuts.
It's crazy because my output on the tread is almost 400, and then my output on the bike is like 120. I'm like, yeah, this. Now I know where I'm good at. I like running.
I do too.
I get that though. It makes you feel like you're better at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does for me. But I think there's also something about running that's a little more meditative than a spin class. And I love spin classes, but I don't know. There's something about the rhythm of running that makes it a little more meditative. So
I just feel like I'm moving more. I feel like I'm killing myself more because you're like, you're moving your whole body. On the bike, I just feel like I'm sitting, but like my legs are burning. You know what I mean?
I do.
I do love spin in a class. Like once Peloton opens, I'm there for classes. But just me on the bike, I'm just, I can't get motivated. I don't know.
Okay. That makes total sense to me.
Yeah. So are you comfortable with sharing your leaderboard name with people or no?
So I do have Mama, which is like my public one, but I haven't been on there because I got so many like requests that it was overwhelming. I was like, I just want to work out. So
Sure.
I do have the Mama one, but I haven't been on there. I do have my private one that I'm going to keep private, and that's what I use every day. But yeah.
I totally understand
Get it. I totally get
it. Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. This was a lot of fun. And we really do appreciate you taking time out of your day. I know you have more important things than our little dog and pony show. So Thank you.
Fine. I got a break from the kids. So thank you.
So I guess that brings this episode to a close.
It does. Was that a trick?
I know. You seem so hesitant to say. You just don't want the Snooki episode to ever end.
I don't.
Had so much fun.
I did, in fact, have so much fun. It was surreal.
Yeah. No, Surreal Life. I don't think she was on that one.
No.
That was
true.
Okay. So what, pray tell, do you have in store for people next week?
We are going to talk to Ben Potashinsky, who used to work at Disney as one of the actors who was in the Frozen show and the Hoop-Dee-Doo Review, and among like a million other shows. He's a comedian, and he's been voted like the top comedian in Orlando many times. So I'm super excited for this conversation.
And I will add a tease to that. Because it's Disney and we needed to prove it to Small World, we will have at the end of next week's episode, quite possibly, the biggest coincidence in the history of coincidences.
Yes.
It's pretty hysterical. So
it is.
So you definitely want to listen to next week's episode and stick around to the end to find out what this major coincidence is. So anyway, that's it for this one. Until next time, where can people find you?
People can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Crystal D. O'Keefe. They can find me on Twitter, Instagram, The Bike, and of course the Tread at Clip Out Crystal.
And you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. Find the show online at facebook.com/The Clip Out. While you're there, like the page, join the group, and don't forget to check out our YouTube channel where you can watch our episodes and see all the interviews and all the faces Crystal makes at me when I say something that upsets her. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, keep pedaling
and running.
Clip in, set yourself